Hello and welcome everybody back to this Move, Sweat and Suffer podcast. We're privileged to have the busy dad here with us today. You've got Lee Hazard and myself, Joe Hortai, co-founders of the Move, Sweat and Suffer podcast. And we've got the incredible busy dad. It's such a privilege to have you on the show, my friend. We're grateful that you could spare some of your time. We understand and appreciate how busy you are. So we want to be respectful of your time, and we're just grateful to have you on, mate. So we might quickly kick it on over to Lee. He's been practicing his busy dad introduction. I'm going to put him on the spot. He's been practicing his busy dad introduction, and I want to see how he goes with his quintessentially English accent.
All right,
busy dads and busy people everywhere.
I
like that.
That wasn't too bad. Yeah,
Wasn't too bad.
It wasn't too bad. You're supposed to say, "Hello, busy dads and busy people everywhere. If you're new to this channel, welcome." And then that's as far as I've gotten so far. But mate, we do it no justice with regards to our attempts. But we're going to hand over to you, busy dad, and we'd love for you to introduce yourself to, obviously the community already knows you really well, but there may be some other people that will jump on here that don't know you, and we're going to dive into getting to know you a bit better, my friend.
Okay, great. Before I introduce myself, Joe and Lee, let me tell you just what an inspiration you two guys are to me. I feel like I'm meeting celebrities. I feel like I'm meeting some of my personal heroes.
That's how we feel.
I'm really so glad that you've put this together. I think it's a wonderful project, and I really do feel honored to be here. So first of all, just thank you very much.
Oh.
So I am the busy dad. I run the Busy Dad program. Channel created for spreading the word. My actual name is Max Edwards, and I'm I mean, compared to you guys, I'm pretty lame dad. I've only got one child. 15 between you. But ordinarily I'm based in San Diego in California. Right now I'm actually in England where I grew up. I'm visiting family. My brother just got married, and I've been here for that occasion. So the channel is really trying to spread the word about this very minimalist, burpee-focused training program that I really think can help a lot of people. It's helped me. And so that's what I'm all about.
Beautiful, man. That's fantastic. I'm going to jump in with the first question, and then Lee will probably just chime in along as we go as well. But Max, it's clear to see, as I touched on, your passion. It's a huge honor and privilege, obviously, as well, for us to have you on here. We feel the same in terms. It's like meeting celebrities when we're having them. When we're fortunate to have people like you guys on the podcast, and those in the past that we've had fortunate to have on so far. So the wedding, did you get your brother to do some burpees and Navy SEALs with you?
You know what? To my I was not able to persuade Freddie to do some burpees.
Right.
Yeah. He was too worried. He was too worried on the morning. He wanted to do his intuitive yoga training, and then by the time I in the evening, he was too far gone, and I think he was trying to summon the last of his physical reserves for the consummation part of the night. So unfortunately.
Okay.
I just want to know if he got the priest in Navy SEALs while he was conducting the service. Does anybody have anything to say about this wedding taking place?
Yeah.
I get that fucking priest in 10 Navy SEALs. I'm trying to get more subscribers here.
Yeah, no, I to be honest, the celebrant didn't look like she was particularly capable of Navy SEAL. You never know.
Right.
Of course, I myself was briefly a wedding celebrant. I mean, not by profession, but I actually did that earlier in the summer for my sister.
Right.
And, while I was giving the ceremony, I did have to restrain myself a little bit from demoing the Navy SEAL to the congregation.
So it's almost became like a wee theme for you. I've noticed it's not the first time it's happened. I think you did it at a wedding quite recently as well.
Yeah,
I was just saying, you could potentially be the first person who might end up being banned from weddings, Max.
From weddings in general. Yeah. There'll be some lawsuits, I'm sure.
Yeah. Did I notice? Did the bride get up? Was she doing some squats near the end? And that last
some deep squats. Yeah, she did.
Look at that.
That was the legend. Shout out to Sarah. Yeah.
Awesome. Was it Sarah? Did you say?
That's right. Yeah.
Awesome, Sarah. Freddie, the brother, right?
Freddie is the brother, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed you didn't do some Navy SEALs with Max on the channel for us.
Yeah, come on, Freddie.
Come on, Freddie. Mate, so tell us, let's get into a bit about how did you, I remember seeing a video of you, Max, and you spoke about it would be one of your, I think along the lines of a great privilege or honor for you to be able to train along Iron Wolf. And you'd spoken about that. And I thought, man, who's this? And I think it might have been, I might have seen yours first. And I was like, who's Iron Wolf? And then I went along there and then had a look. And then so I was like, oh, right, this guy's awesome. I can see why. But have you been able to, I guess, connect with Iron Wolf in any way, either through Instagram or chats or anything like that?
Not directly. I will often send messages to him on page. I'm not on Instagram. He's always very, very kind in his responses, but I thought that initial video might lure him into a training session with me, but so far, I think that was, and I've not had a response yet. The main reason I did it was that I have a fairly strong suspicion that the man is based in San Diego, where I am. It's big naval base there, and when I see him training on his balcony, it looks kind of a lot like my balcony.
Right.
And so I feel like I might be tantalizingly close to him. Sometimes I wake up and I think, how far away is Iron Wolf? Perhaps he's only a few miles we speak. But we've never had much of an interaction there.
You can feel that wolf presence in San Diego.
Yeah, I can just feel it, exactly. Yeah.
I think you're actually right, because I'm sure he put up a video the other night where he actually said that he stays in San Diego.
There you go.
Right. Oh man, that would be cool. But you're a blanking machine, busy dad, Max. When we see the stuff that you pump out, so I think if we can, we might have to mention that we're going to be privileged enough to have Iron Wolf on, Lisa. We might have to mention, hey, Max Edwards would love to train with you. Maybe you guys can do a collab on the remotely or something like that. That'd be cool.
Oh well, I'm so delighted for you guys that you're going to have him on, and I'll certainly be tuning into that episode. Exciting.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Hey, Max, so you're 19 months into this program, really keen to pick apart, some of bits of your life, not only what you do for a profession, but also with regards to the program. What was the catalyst, I guess, for you in relation to going, man, I need to do something, or I need to change, or were you feeling down in the dumps? Were you in a bad space mentally? Were you feeling heavy and overweight? What was the catalyst for you and the drive for you to come up and create the Busy Dad program?
So the Busy Dad program itself is something I created at a time in my life where exercise already had a pretty stable presence within my life. It was already something I was doing pretty regularly. I did change my body composition quite a lot through the program, but I was big because I'd been powerlifting. I'd been taking that pretty seriously before my wife. So it wasn't something I did to like convert myself to physical training from nothing.
Gotcha.
I've alluded to it in previous videos. I mean, I came to training fairly late. I think I'd done like 10 press-ups in my life. 25 years old. It really wasn't part of my life at all.
Wow.
And I was very, very overweight, and I had a very bad problem with alcohol, kind of mid-20s. Actually, this brother whose wedding I've just been at, he turned around to me and said, it was January the 1st, and I kind of accepted what he said, and he marched me to the gym every day for 6 months. I lost 25 kilograms, and I really discovered, it was a very, very powerful kind of conversion for me, and I found a real salvation in training. And ever since then, it's been a part of my life, something that every time I train, I'm just kind of awe-inspired by the power of training, the kind of spiritual power of training. And so, for me, training will be something that is integral to my life since that conversion time. And so the big about as a way of asking myself, well, how can I keep training in my life, given that I recognize this deep value in it, but given that I'm about to have a child, I'm about to try and completely throw myself into fatherhood, my world's going to be turned upside down. Is there any way of keeping a meaningful place in my life for training without letting it take things over like it had done in the past? Right. And so I was coming out of powerlifting, and I love powerlifting, but you know, in the gym, you're completely whacked afterwards. Appetite is insane. I found it was starting to eat up my life. I loved it, but it was clearly not something I could sustain and be a committed father at the same time. At least I didn't see a way for me to do that. But on the other hand, it was this like deep satisfaction in simplicity, you know, just focusing on 2 lifts, not messing around with, and also in linear progression, you know, in like progressive overload principles, trying to be building from one session to another. You feel like the weeks are stacking on the weeks. I wanted that. I wanted to carry forward that simplicity and also that focus on progression. My wife and I kind of talked and we said, we kind of hashed out like what the bare minimum would look like that I could do, and we just decided on 80 minutes. So I needed a way of filling those 80 minutes, and I wanted it to be simple, and I wanted it to be meaningful. Okay, so I thought about doing kind of Joe Wick style HIIT workouts, and he's great. There's no disrespect to him, but that style had the simplicity to it, and it didn't have that focus on progression. And it was around that time, kind of around the time that my daughter was born, that I stumbled on a video of Iron Wolf, and I saw him doing Navy SEALs, and I tried 4 Navy SEALs every minute on the minute for 10 minutes, 6 minutes in, and then I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and that's where the Busy Dad program came from. Navy SEALs, and then the 6 counts followed very quickly afterwards.
It's quite an interesting point you raised there. One that made me smile straight away, and that was that you had to consult with your wife to come up with a training program.
Yeah.
How did
Like,
that go?
are you basically telling me you had to get your wife's permission to train? Is that what you're trying to say here?
I did. No, it wasn't a permission.
No.
I come to her and say, look, so what do we do here?
No, listen, I get it, right? Because like, it sounds a very similar situation to I found myself in, and it's the birth of your child, because the dynamic in your relationship changes, and like you say, you go to the gym 2 or 3 times or 4 times a week, and you're in for 2 hours, and that just becomes something that can't be done to maintain the equilibrium of a successful relationship, particularly when a child comes along.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
like in our day and age, that's almost equivalent to your dad going to the pub.
Yeah.
And just leaving the family home.
And,
Whereas now we want to just go to the gym. It's almost exactly the same, and it's like it's not really something that I felt comfortable with.
Yeah.
When I go to the gym, I always want to be going stress-free, like relaxed and so forth. And obviously, if you know that you're leaving your wife with a child, it's just not going to happen. So I find it quite an interesting point that you had to obviously have that discussion. And through that discussion, you obviously create a system, so to speak, which becomes like it works in synergy with a successful family life.
Yeah, we wanted to find that sweet spot because she knows me well enough to know that I'm not really a functional person if there's not some training. But we don't. I want to be training for my family. I don't want my training to be weighing me down, keeping away from them for longer than they need to be away. So it's about finding, like you say, that synergy, that sweet spot where I'm happy, she's, and 80 minutes seems to be the magic number.
Well, I find it very admirable that you actually created a system. Most guys would probably just give up the ghost in that respect. Whereas you've actually found something, and you like, one thing that always stood out about me with you with regards to your system is how methodical it was. Do you know, it was like, I mean, when I train, like I go ad hoc, and I kind of envy that ability to really
structure, eh?
Yeah,
that create that structure.
Yeah, so there's a very specific reason for that. I'd like to say a shout out to my good friend Lars. So Lars, the Danish powerlifter who had trained with like the Danish deadlifting champion, was a very serious, committed lifter who happened to be visiting San Diego. And he took me under his wing, and he was just so devout in his programming. I mean, he had every session for the next kind of 6 months planned out. And I really admired that structure that he brought to his training. And I trained with him through that and moved through that, and I saw the results. Like my lifting totals just went through the roof of 3 months of training with Lars. And so I think it was that experience of seeing a kind of pro at work that really won me round to this idea of having a structure with a kind of focus on progression built into it.
That's great. That's awesome. Hey, what, out of interest, I got a couple of things, but I'll just jump in with this one. What were your lifts for what were you squatting, benching, and deadlifting?
So across the three, I got 6 times body weight. So I was at 82 kilograms. I think I was deadlifting 205.
Wow.
It's nothing special. Squatting 170 and benching.
Yeah. Awesome,
man. It was kind of incredible. I was just knocking on the door of intermediate level lifting, I think, and I was getting, I was
absolutely
started. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. Hey, and I also wanted to ask, if it's okay, we didn't ask you this at the start, but you touched on something which sort of caught my ear. How old are you now, if you don't mind, Max?
I'm personally offended by that question, actually, Joe. No, I'm joking. I'm 30.
34. Yeah. And so you spoke about the
I regularly get confused. Like,
I asked someone to guess my age recently, and she said 46.
So I regularly get confused with someone a bit older. I don't know if it's the hairline, but no, 34.
34. No, thanks. I was going to ask, you touched on about the alcohol where you were in your 20s. Would you mind speaking a bit about that? And was it your brother that helped you get through that to find this path to training? Was it something that he saw in you? Like, were you doing stuff that would you be comfortable in speaking about that? Because I think it could be helpful for people to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't shake the alcohol when I started training. The alcohol problem kind of did peak in my early 20s. I think it's the main reason I was so overweight. My body just couldn't keep up with the amount I was drinking. I mean, I really did lose a couple. And I think, when I did discover training, when I lost all of that weight, I stopped drinking for like 6 months. And that kind of set a pattern for the next few years. I'm sure.
Cool.
I mean, hearing Triple B speak about his experience, it sounded kind of similar. Year on, year off. I never went quite the level of problem drinking I'd been dealing with in my early 20s, but it would be like 3 months of hard training, month-long binge. 3 months of hard training, month.
Right. Gotcha.
Until I hit 30. And what happened when I hit 30 was I had this kind of Janus face moment where I simultaneously looked back over my 20s and I looked ahead to my 30s, and I reflected on all of the lost life that I'll never get back from my 20s, all of the things that I hadn't done that I'd hoped to do, all of the people I'd let down in various ways, and I looked and I saw a common element in all of that, which was alcohol. And then at the same time, I looked ahead to what I wanted to achieve in my 30s. I wanted to. So what I do is I'm a PhD candidate in the philosophy department in San Diego, and my intention is to launch into my academic career. This time to write a book, to get publications, to get married to this woman I've fallen in love with, to be a father. And I thought, how am I going to do all of these things in the next 10 years if this thing that's ruined the last 10 years is still present? And I just had this epiphany. It's like, I can keep trying to just have one glass of wine and struggling through that, hating every moment because I know I can't have another 5 glasses of wine. Or I can just not have the glass of wine. And when I felt like I was cheating. It's like, it's not having me. And when I realized you can just do that, you can just say no to alcohol. It was like this feeling of immense liberation. It's still like one of the best days of my life when I realized I don't have to drink anymore. And since then, it's 4 years now. Haven't touched alcohol or thought about alcohol, and every day I wake up just truly grateful that it's not a part of my life.
Beautiful, man. That's
you
awesome.
just get drunk on the lactic acid. I said you just get drunk on the lactic acid for Navy SEALs now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
Torturing poor guys at weddings.
That's the dopamine hits that he's getting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mate, thank you so much, man.
Natural highs. I do a lot of breath work. Do a lot of Wim Hof breathing every day. It's kind of cold water stuff.
Awesome.
training. Yeah. I found I'm very happy living a non-alcohol life.
Beautiful, man. And it's easy to see how happy you are with that energy that comes through in your video. So we appreciate you for that. And thank you for sharing that very personal piece about your life, Max. We really appreciate it. The last one that I've got at this time, just for now, I've got other questions, but I'm hogging the questions because I can see Lee sitting there. But how did that conversation with your wife with regards to coming up with the training, was that just in one sitting? Did you guys come up and hack out the plan and get it sorted in a short period of time, or did it take a couple of sessions over a period of time before you came to some compromise?
It was the kind of thing that if we were more experienced parents, we would have done before our baby was born. It was something that it was a conversation once because I was trying to hold on to the training and getting freaked out that I was not able to train. I could tell it was upsetting her and things that we have to stand back and say, what are we going to do here? So it was one early conversation.
Brilliant. Awesome.
Yeah, so the busy dad was birthed out of a kind of moment of marital compromise.
I like it. Love it.
So I'm thinking about your powerlifting days. I mean, obviously you became quite accomplished going by the statistics you just mentioned there. So what's the difference with regards to how you feel, like when you were at the peak of your powerlifting powers, and how you feel now, having sort of went away to the other side of it, like the spectrum where you're just focusing completely on body weight? How would you describe like how you physically feel at this point? What's the difference between the two?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So I've never known exhaustion like I discovered from powerlifting. Like after a big squat or deadlift session, I would just be walking around in a daze, like like just trying to kind of and just like X-ray vision, looking for the nearest food source so I could just consume. I remember the day squat PR, I stumbled home and consumed an entire cheesecake followed by a burrito with my wife as a kind of starter for the evening. So I've never known hunger like it, and I've never known exhaustion like it. I've also never known, I don't think, satisfaction. I remember when I hit, all the training was moving towards one-off lift. Hitting that lift, I remember just like glowing. But I was energy-wise, I felt pretty heavy, and I mean I was deliberately eating a lot of calories, so maybe that played into it. Whereas this kind of training, it doesn't tax my system in the same kind of way. I feel light on my feet. I don't feel like I need to eat. I enjoy doing these sessions and not eating for a couple of hours afterwards. And in general, I just feel very energetic, and I feel able-bodied. I feel light on my feet. I feel nimble, agile. A totally different feeling. It was basically I felt like heavy and leaden and plodding. I was still strong but slow. Now I feel kind of vigorous and energized.
Nice.
I mean, the reason sorry.
I was just going to ask.
The reason I asked was because sorry.
Excuse me.
No, the reason I asked was because I worked at a powerlifting meet years ago, and it was full of like all these old guys who looked like Jimmy Savile, and they just couldn't move. The only way they could move was to get up and bench and squat and deadlift. They just spent the whole like meet just sitting in chairs looking like utter shit.
Yeah, I've got to say the powerlifting,
like they were dying.
Yeah. And often, I mean, traditionally powerlifters have pretty awful diets, and that in general they're just unbelievably strong and dedicated bunch. But the physique isn't much of an advertisement for the sport. I think by the end of my powerlifting time, because I was using a mixed script for my deadlift, like there were serious muscular imbalances. Like my back was off, I couldn't walk that well. Yeah, it's
wow.
I'll never be going back to it. That's for sure. I loved it. I learned a lot about programming and about intensity, and the mental game. But from a physical point of view, for me.
Wow, that's interesting. That's a great question, Lee. With where you're at now, it was really interesting and great to hear the explanations with the Q&A stuff that you do, Max, around the why 80 minutes, what you're doing for your back, or how you train and incorporate that aspect into your training. Because I guess a lot of people in this community, they do, and it's been positive, overwhelmingly positive, but I guess some people that maybe don't understand, and maybe you could shed a little bit of light on this, because I felt like you did as I listened to those Q&As. I think there seems to be maybe, and I'd be interested to hear yours as well, Lee, both your guys' thoughts on this. Do you think that perhaps there's maybe a misconception that all we're doing is burpees is very anterior front focused, which is a lot of thoughts from people, even when I speak to them, saying, why are you doing so many? Do you think there's this misperception that they think that's all we're doing? Because listening to you, Busy Dad, obviously there's the pull-up section and stuff that you do every morning, and you go to your bathroom, you've got the pull-up bar, and I would imagine for yourself, Lee, and I've seen in your sessions anyway, Lee, you've got the dips, you've got the pull-ups, you've got the kettlebell swings, there's a whole bunch of other stuff. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? And we'll start with yourself, Max, with regards to your thoughts on this maybe this misconception that it seems to me that some people have about it.
So I think you mentioned two things. One is this perception that all we're doing is burpees, and then the other is this. I just have this purely anterior focus, and I think there is some truth in that belief that it's an anterior focus movement. I think, but we're talking about the key focus of the movement. But I do think that the back and the posterior chain get activated. Like I said, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, but whenever I do Navy SEALs and not done them for a while, I feel it in my lats for sure.
You feel that
everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. The serratus, the lats, for sure. And I think that, like, in the beginning,
Your
getting some hamstring activation. Like, I don't know why it is, but my hamstrings are like. So I do think that it's a misperception to think that the burpees do nothing for the back of the body. Though I think it's probably true that the real massive gains for your shoulder and your chest. Then as for the thing about, I know that Lee has a really well approach where you're doing the pull-ups, the chin-ups, the kettlebell swings. I'm not. I don't have that you could call well integrated. Like I said, I do my 10 dead hang pull-ups every morning of the year without fail. But that's it. There isn't either a burpee or a move directly ancillary to a burpee, like squat or a mountain climber. And I'm just, I'm just happy to admit that that sounds like a pretty imbalanced training approach, because there is an overwhelming bias towards burpees in what I'm doing. What I can say is, I started this program thinking I could work pull-ups into the main 80 minutes, but I really want to cultivate excellence in these two movements. One's the minimalist, and then I thought I'll do these 10 therapeutic pull-ups every morning, and if I encounter some problems along the way, I might fix it. And if I do that, I just haven't. I really haven't found that there's been any kind of any problem with imbalance back strength. So that's where I'm at.
That's great. Awesome. Thanks, Max. What about yourself, Lee?
Do you know what? Sometimes I think that we, training is always seen through the lens of aesthetics. And when people talk about imbalances, what they're saying to me or in my head is my chest is going to get really big, but my back's not really going to look that developed.
Yeah. Right.
But you know what? Burpees aren't going to make you look like Dorian Yates. They're not going to turn you into some roided bodybuilder. That's not why we do burpees. But burpees are the ultimate physique definer, in my opinion. Since I've started, so a perfectly executed 6-count burpee is going to hit your whole body. You start with a hinge, okay? So you're going to extend the hips backwards and you're going to hit your hamstrings hard, right? You're no deadlifting 200 kilos or anything like that, but it's just repeated effort, which is going to provide some stimulus to that body area. You're also going to hit a squat when you come up. So your lower body's getting a brutal workout. In fact, I would say it's the coming up motion, which is the most brutal of the burpee. That's the one that takes the lungs away, because when you're doing 6 counts and 1 pumps, the pushing up becomes really easy. Especially when you're doing things like Navy SEALs and you're getting that condensed training volume and the pushing aspect. That one pumps, they're easy. It's more the getting up, so your legs are getting a good workout. Anecdotally, or like for me personally, my traps have exploded like beyond belief since I've been doing burpees. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing for that to happen, but I know that it's happening.
Yeah, I seal.
Yeah, possibly.
Here is that when you're pulling the knee up to the chest in the mountain climber phase, you're forcing yourself to kind of round.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you trap activation.
Yeah, well, we were saying that last night when you do a Navy SEAL. I mean, okay. So you do a three pump or 12 count or whatever. Where you've got 3 press ups in the burpee motion. That's not the same as a Navy SEAL. The bringing the knees up extends that range of motion, and it just takes that burpee to like some painful level, which is just, I mean, like you obviously know, Max, when you're torturing people with these weddings, you know what you're doing. You know that you're not getting them doing 8 count bodybuilders.
Oh no, none of that.
Because you don't want them disrespecting the burpee, so you think, yeah, I'm just going to hit them with a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll respect this shit.
Well, I know I'm handing them the most powerful bodyweight movement as far as I'm concerned.
You're helping them.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, when you bring it up, that there's that sort of scapula kicking in, and you're just hitting your traps really hard. But at the same time, when I talk about it, like from a physique perspective, you're torching body fat. I don't care what anybody says. You get people that talk about diet, or it's diet. Listen, fucking do 100 Navy SEALs a day, man, and you're going to be stripping body fat like nobody knows.
Yeah, you're going to.
You know what I mean? I think there's too much science in these sort of like debates and so forth. There's no that. Like, I think anecdotal experience accounts for a lot in this sphere, because everybody reacts differently to exercises and so forth.
Yeah, right. And when we're staying at the anecdotal level, what I can promise that will happen to other people, but my body just morphed in front of me. I couldn't believe what was happening. Like, I've never looked, never close, never had a 6-pack, never looked this way. And like, I just, like 3 months into looking at them, like, who the hell is this? I think they're just magic, those things. They're just the best.
It's funny you say that, because like me personally, I had a very, very similar experience, and like this goes back to one of the guys that influenced me, the guy for like the T Nation forums, the Punisher. It was his approach to nutrition, which was just eat to fuel your performance. Like, it wasn't really giving you any direct sort of advice on what you had to eat, but it was saying you need to fuel the training. You need to fuel it hard, and that's what I did initially when I started burpees. I was eating a lot of clean foods, but I was still eating a bit of shit. I like a KFC now and again and so forth. The fact I like quite a good Empire biscuits, mate. Get it right.
Empire biscuits.
Empire biscuits. But I was eating a lot of like dirty sort of food, whatever you want to call it. But I was still torching body fat. It was a very profound experience.
Yeah.
And I love that you mentioned that, because I was going to come to you, Max, when you talk about, because you were being consistent, you're still maintaining that consistency, and that's another aspect that I love. If you could speak to as well, Max, about your thoughts around, because I know you're a massive advocate, and obviously the proof is in the pudding with the consistency that you do. If you could speak to that as well. So I think, to Lee's point, we can still eat, a bit of what people might call crap food, but the consistency, Max, if you wouldn't mind speaking about that, that would be great.
And are we talking about training consistency here, or diet consistency?
Yeah.
Training consistency.
Both. I think both. Yeah, well, from your side.
So as I told you, like, the window came out of this conversation with my wife, and I didn't. It was more about like what
discovered
is that the 80-minute window has been so powerful for consistency for me. That's, as I said in a recent video, when the chips are down and everything's falling apart around, this is not anything. I've never had a week where I'm so under the bus that I couldn't find 80 minutes. And then when like baby's sleeping well, and there's lots of energy. I'm dying to train. I've got to restrict myself to 80 minutes, and that's keeping me so hungry. And so I'm either going into a session super hungry and I'm performing to a very high level because I want to be doing 100 minutes in that session. I'm only doing, or I'm pulling myself up from the ground and somehow managing to get, like my 20-minute workout last night that I did after the wedding. I found, it's 20 minutes. And so I think that, consistency is everything. I think that it's about if you get to a certain point with your training and then you miss, you don't do your filler sessions, the sessions where you're not taking it to the next level, but your current level, you're going to fall down again, and you're going to. Whereas if you can just keep going, even in the sessions, I think Lee, you once called sessions when you just feel appalling, you can keep putting in those filler sessions. They're going to be like the bridge that help you chain together the something. And so it's about finding a workload you can project across the whole year. Yeah.
Awesome. And the nutrition side for you, Max?
It's something I've always experimented with. I mean, since this kind of weight loss, I guess, nutrition. I kind of have an approach now where I got my kind of breakfast, lunch, and afternoon snack kind of automated. They're just like locked in. They're just programmed.
Yeah.
And then at dinner time, we kind of do what we want. For me, it's kind of stopped me from getting bored. I try to make the dinners cleaner rather than less clean, but if we're having a steak or something slightly indulgent. I think if you basically the more consistency you can build, the easier it is to have meals that aren't perfectly healthy. And for me, just kind of lunch, just eating basically the same thing every day. Find something you like that you know is good for you, and stick with it. That's easy for me.
Right. Okay. Awesome. So that I've got to ask this question because maybe it's because I don't know. Right. How do you implement that into the family lifestyle? All right. I mean, you've got a little girl, right? What age is your little girl? Is it 18 months or 19 months?
19 and a half now, 19 and a half months.
Right, she's probably not hitting the McDonald's yet, mate, but it's going to happen, right? It's going to happen, mate. You probably like thinking, she's never eaten McDonald's, but it happens, right?
I believe you, man. I believe you.
So how do you implement that nutritional consistency into family life?
Well, what we have that's beneficial right now is that she's in childcare for the first couple of hours of the day, which is great because when I was giving her breakfast, I was just failing on my fasts all the time. I'd be trying to feed her this oat, and she wouldn't have it, and so I'd have some to demo, and then the fast is over. Now that she's gone to 11, so I'm able, and then I tend to eat what I eat for the first meal of the day when she's sleeping. And then lunch we do together. Chickpeas and the grains. She digs it.
Nice.
And then, as I said, where the kind of food we're cooking is very, the kind of thing that you'd expect a 19-month-old to be eating.
So does your wife buy into your nutritional strategy as well?
She's rather. She thinks this whole.
This is what I was really asking, mate. This is what I was really asking.
Yeah, I know. You should have just come straight to.
No. She does everything in her power to tell me from the past. No, she hates it. She thinks it's really annoying. I've always got a new nutritional. I'm rumbling on about. She just wants to eat normal food, do a bit of baking, have a steak in the evening. She's over a meat-oriented culture, and she puts up with it, but she finds it very exasperating.
Very understanding wife.
And what about yours, Lee?
Yeah. Oh, don't ask. I've gave up. I've gave up. I just eat like crap most of the time now. I use the burpees just to burn it all off, basically.
to burn off those Empire biscuits.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday's usually good, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday's just a disaster zone.
Hey Max, what's your eating window? Because you're doing you intermittent fast, right? What's your window? When do you start? How long is your window for?
It tends to be a 16-8 breakdown, 7 and 7. I always train fasted.
Yeah. Awesome. And so, your advice, mate, tips that you would want to, what would be, say, your 3 top tips that you would look to share with anybody within this community? Oh no, let's say particularly those that might be just starting out on their journey in relation to high rep burpees or a minimalist approach in terms of looking to come on board, specifically the Busy Dad program.
Yeah.
What would be your 3 top tips that you would want people to hopefully hear and look to try to apply when coming into the Busy Dad program?
I think that there's one. There are others that are less fundamental, but it's about the way you think about training. I think that a lot of people need a fundamental shift in their perspective on training, because I think a lot of people think of training as a chore. It's like one of washing the dishes. It's something that has to get done every day. Okay. Who washes the dishes every day? Answer the person. Okay, so then training is a chore, and you're a conscientious type of person. That's great. You're going to train. But what if you're thinking of training not the conscientious type? I'm not a conscientious type. I can't do it all the time. Well, then you're stuck, because, by the way, you're not training in such a way that you're setting yourself up for failure. Okay, so what do? You can try and turn yourself into a more conscientious person, but that doesn't really work. People can't really shift their fundamental personality type. So you need to find a way of thinking about training where you're playing to denying the kind of person. So how do you shift? Stop thinking about training as a chore. Start thinking about training as a project. Okay, a project is like
nice. Everyone
wants to build a house. Everyone knows how good it feels to build a house. It doesn't feel that good to wash the dishes. It's just a thing that's got done. You feel unbelievable satisfaction looking over what you've created. Okay, and if that's what you're doing, if you train, it's part of a personal project where you're building something, you're going to be motivated regardless of whether you're. The reason I say training isn't that I'm a conscientious type, it's because I'm engaged in a project. And the way that you think about training as a project is by giving yourself goals. There is no training progress, for me at least, without goals. So rather than thinking, 10 minutes a day, I'm going to do my chores, I'm going to do burpees for a while, get it out of the way, get it done like the dishes. Set yourself a goal. I want to be able to build up to being able to do. And for 10 minutes a day, I'm going to do something towards my goal and achieve. And if that's how you think about it, training will take on a significance. So my main advice is stop thinking of training as a chore. Start thinking of training as a project.
Beautiful, man. I love that.
Excellent. Listen, I totally agree. Yeah. I think that the burpee sort of journey is littered with goals, especially time goals and numbers. Yeah. We always look to get the high reps, or we always look to get under that time. Whereas when I was training like bodybuilding for aesthetics, there was no goals, because your goal was to look a certain way, and that changes on a daily basis.
That's right.
So it's like you never felt satisfied.
Yeah.
You never felt you were going anywhere. You were just spinning your wheels. There was this. It was like playing one of these daft, stupid computer games where you level up and you think, great, I'm at level 16, but then there's level 17, then there's level 18. And it just goes on. And what it is just a daft dopamine mechanism that means absolutely hee-haw in the grand scheme of things. So I like that sort of, like what Max was saying there, where you turn it into a project. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't have, like, I can take elements from what he said. Me personally, I train to get me time for an hour, because my day is so hectic that I need that time to withdraw and just not think of anything. So it's like has meditative qualities. But since I started doing the burpees, there definitely has been elements of that project mindset where I'm trying to defeat numbers, and I've actually had to implement some of Max's principles into my training to try and get to those goals. Where
Absolutely.
I was just using brute force to get there. And I think I alluded to this in a video a while ago, but I had a really, really dodgy burpee session. You know how like you have those days where you do burpees and you're just not feeling it, and
Yep.
like you did 1,000 the day before, then you do 200 2 days later, and that's even worse. And you're thinking, what the fuck's happened? What's going on here? And like Max just popped in my head, and I thought, I'm just going to have to do what he says. I'm going to have to start like breaking down my times and trying to like reduce the amount of time I'm doing, but increase the workload that I do in that time. I think that was a very profound principle that I started to use myself, and I seen great results from it.
That's
However,
brilliant.
that kind of leads me into a question, and this is something that I've always wanted to ask Max, and I'm sure he'll know. He'll know what I'm talking about here, and it's the busy dad system. And I've got a rough idea what your system entails, but there's also a part of me that thinks there's been like you've been so excited to get it out there that there's the structure hasn't been as clear as it should be.
Right.
And we've been taking snippets from your videos and trying to build up the structure in our heads, but you've not actually laid it out in a sort of a systematic like sort of process and so forth that we know exactly what the busy dad system is. So how, like for example, you tell me a week for the busy dad training program.
Great. Thank you, Lee,
Great
for
question.
giving me that opportunity to clarify. So there's are you familiar with the 4-tiered level system? Maybe I'll put it down briefly.
Yeah, please do.
So we have 4 levels within the program. It's a bit like belts within the martial arts system. To each level is by performing these 2 what I call landmark workouts. One is a 20-minute Navy SEAL workout, and the other is a 20-minute 6-count workout. Okay, and you unlock a level of the busy dad program by performing those. One is split into 4 sub-levels. Level 1A is just the buy-in. If you can do 1 6-count in 20 minutes and 1 Navy SEAL in 20 minutes, you're at level 1A. Once you hit the first benchmark in the program, it's 56 counts in 20 minutes and 20 Navy SEALs. Then you're at 1B. When you can progress to 106 counts in 20 minutes and 40 Navy SEAls, you're at 1C. 150 Navy 6 counts in 20 minutes and 60 Navy SEAls, you're at level 1C. And you move up to level 2, which is 6 counts and 80 Navy SEAls. That was a big landmark. When I remember 206 counts in 20 minutes. That felt amazing. So that's level 2. Level 3 is 256 counts in 20 minutes and 100 Navy SEAls in 20 minutes. Level 4,
275
6 counts in 20 minutes and 120 Navy SEAls. And then there's graduation. The program doesn't go on forever. It does have an end. And the program ends, you complete it, when in the same week, you can perform 150 Navy SEAls in 20 minutes, 126 counts in 20 minutes. Okay, so
Awesome.
that's the structure of the system. And basically what will happen is in your first week, you perform just 2 testing workouts. You see how many 6 counts you can do in 20 minutes. You see how many minutes. And on that basis, you assign yourself a level within the program. And then the program just gives you your mission. So if you test it, mission is unlock level 3. The program doesn't, it's up to you. But you've got 80 minutes a week to try and advance towards that goal. It's your project, is to get yourself from a fitness level where you can do 206 counts to a fitness level where you can do 250. Fitness level from where you can do 80 to fitness level to where you can do. And that might take a month. It might take a year. Okay, and it's up to you to program every week to edge closer. And the idea is that when training is going well in a given week, like you're really happy if you are able to put maybe 1 or 2 reps onto your PR. Okay, so what I will do, I'll break down my 80 minutes into a 20-minute session Monday to Tuesday, rest day Wednesday, Thursday a 20-minute, rest day Friday, Saturday, train again, Sunday rest. And I divide it in my head. The Monday and Tuesday workouts are the kind of laboratory workouts where I'm testing things out. And then the Thursday and Saturday workouts, which I'm going into after rest, they're the PR days. They're the days when I'm trying to... So at the end of the week, I can recalibrate new training goals from a new baseline, and I just keep advancing towards that training goal.
But Max, do you not think, like, see, I know you've got your testing days and so forth, but would it not be good for you to give planned sessions to reach those actual goals? For example, like you say, right, you do a testing day and then you've got this sort of tier or goal that you need to reach, and you can do whatever you want in those 80 minutes. But you don't think some people would need that sort of helping hand to get there? For example, you say like you need to do like 100 6 counts, sets of 25, 30 seconds rest in between, reducing rest times over periods of time to get there. You know, like Jim Wendler's 5-3-1, you've got that system and it's just taking you there eventually to your numbers and so forth. Like, do you not think you're missing a trick there with that? When, like, just getting that more specific. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. No. So I guess the reason it felt level 4, the 120 Navy SEALs was like a big day. Part of what made it feel so good was the feeling that I got there myself. That no one told me that I did it. I thought I had to. And I want to
figured it out, right?
I want to give people that empowerment. I want to educate them.
Yeah.
Training as possible. I want to help them understand my training principles, putting other workouts out like the decomposition workouts and others. But I just with the like it's theirs and that they can take real ownership.
No, I see that, but then I think, Max, you're doing a PhD in philosophy, mate, and you hit the big numbers in powerlifting. No, everybody's that smart, you know. They need that helping hand to get there. So I mean, personally, think like that's where you're probably missing a wee trick where you could start to really fine tune that program and provide those sessions that are really going to get you there.
Well, one thing I'd like to say out there is
all good.
Followers, it fills me with such joy, and we stay in touch through the YouTube channel, and I'm always happy to. I'll always see your comments, at least right now while the channel's full. So, like, please feel free to check in with me, and I'm always. But Joe, sorry, you were going to say.
No, I was just going to say I really like both points. I love the fact with regards, and thank you for explaining that, Max, with regards to the programming. I actually personally, I have enjoyed just trying to figure it out on my own. You know, that landmark with the 320 minutes as an example for me, I was like, bloody hell, I need to do this. And I need to do some more running. So I chucked in some more running, even though my Achilles were killing. And then I, just having that, I guess that empowerment, as you spoke about, Max, I connected with, because I'm probably not somebody that personally that would, if you gave me a program that I'll go, I'll stick exactly to that program. There will be days where I won't, and life will happen. But I really appreciated, from my perspective, of how you've just explained that, and having the autonomy myself. So now the responsibility is on me. Here's a plan, here's a landmark, and that goal. So that I really liked. I love Lee's comments though about, you're right, there are people that would probably appreciate maybe a bit more structure, that would follow that. Maybe they're just more conscientious than myself. But I think there's, like Lee said, and I think where Lee's coming from, which I support, is that there's probably an opportunity there for you, Max, if you were interested in doing that, in addition to, you're happy to give advice. But I think it might also, if you had the time in your schedule to create that that specific program, I think there would be a lot of buy-in from people, because you're having such a great effect. Rob from Triple B, he's been following your stuff for a while. He's seen great results. There's so many people within this community, myself seeing your stuff and then trying to follow those. Well, probably just seeing the landmarks and thinking those are incredible. I want to try and hit those, but I need to try to figure some of the stuff out. But I love that, yeah, there are people that would benefit, like Leah said, from probably a little bit more. So maybe I think it could be something else for you to add to your toolbox, maybe, if you were interested in doing that, and you get some people that will buy into it. I think what Lee's talking about, though, is he wants you to give him a program.
Yeah,
he wants a
pretty
clear
much.
blueprint. Awesome.
That's very valuable feedback. Thank you, Lee. I'll definitely think about that.
Why, like, what I really like about that is why you've methodically chosen the 6 count and the Navy SEAL, and you've completely omitted every other style of like burpee. I'm a big fan of like multi pumps. I like Navy SEALs. I don't like 8 count bodybuilders. They don't feel natural to me. They don't. I just don't like them opening my legs like that for some reason. I'm just worried in case something's going to fly out or something like that. They're not really gym friendly. They're only, Joe can get away with them in his back garden, but
yeah.
when you're at a gym in Glasgow, you don't want to be parting the Red Sea like that, you know. But yeah, I think it was very. The one thing that I really thought was a great point was how you methodically chose these 2 moves as a bang for your buck burpee, and the same. And I can see roots from your powerlifting background in the sense that they just use the 3 big lifts, compound lifts, that just get the job done. It seems to have that influence in your program, in your selection of these burpees.
Yeah. I got in the early days when I first saw I Am Wolf. I tried everything out, but I think that these 2 really are the sacred movements. I mean, they're all great, but these two movements that just blow me away with how powerful they are, and I really think they're all unique.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I could just briefly talk about why I think it's such a powerful combination.
Please do. Yeah.
I mean, basically, I think that the Navy SEAL is unmatched for building upper body strength and muscle.
Absolutely.
But like putting the Navy SEAL next to a 3 pump, there's just no competition. Magic happens when you bring the knee to the chest. So body strength and core strength, like, man, my core is melted by Navy SEAL sessions. There's nothing better than Navy SEAL. But of course, if you look at like push-up to burpee ratio, such you're doing 3 push-ups for every rep, which means that the legs are kind of idle for a big part of the movement. I mean, they're coming to your chest, but they're not getting activation. So for building strength in the legs, they're not the best. It's not. If they activated the legs, they would be all I do. Like if they activated the legs more, then you come back to the 1 pumps and the 6 counts, where it's a 1-to-1 ratio of push-up to burpee for every pump. And as Lee said, that movement when you come out of the burpee is just so fatiguing for your legs. So for building strength in the legs as well as cardiovascular capacity, for me it was a contest between the 1 pump and the 6 count. And aside from the fact that it makes it even more taxing for the cardiovascular system, it also forces you to keep your technique. And so for me, you've got cardiovascular fitness covered. Like I never had cardio fitness before I started this program. When I started, resting heart rate around 70. Right now it's at 45. Okay, wow. That's 6 counts. And for the mental game as well, there's nothing like a 6 count. And then for the upper body strength, you've got Navy SEALs, and then it's like I don't see that I've got any bases that aren't covered. And so I don't see. That is great. I just don't think any of them are as good as these 2 sacred movements.
Awesome. Great explanation, man. Thanks very much for that, Max.
No, I mean, when I seen you mention that in one of your videos, from the next day on, that's what I started focusing on primarily, was my 6 counts and my Navy SEALs, because it just made so much sense to me. And like, you know yourself, I mean, I put up a video a while ago. I think it was like a 5-minute time for 100 burpees, and I'd just done 100 Navy SEALs prior to that. So, you know yourself, 6 counts after Navy SEALs is like flying on a magic carpet. You know, you feel like Sinbad. You're just kind of... You're just rattling them out. It's actually, it was like burpee steroids prior to getting that 6 pump, or the 1 pump, sorry.
Yeah, I enjoy these. I do. It's not regular, but when I'm combining the two movements within a single workout, and you're right, it's a really pleasant sensation to move between those two burpees, especially from Navy SEALs to 6 counts.
Yeah, 6 counts. Yeah, not so pleasant the other way around. 6 counts to Navy SEALs. Hey, Max, how can people connect with you? We know you got the Busy Dad YouTube channel, but you said you're on Instagram, or you're not on Instagram?
No, I'm not. For now, this is as much social media as I can handle.
Right. Yeah.
Prior to the channel, I've been off social media for 10 years or something. Maybe in the future there will be an Instagram account. I recently suggested that the wedding footage would be well suited to TikTok. So who knows?
Yeah. That's a great point.
He recommended a Busy Dad OnlyFans, but I'm not going to.
That's something I hate to see.
Yeah. So for now, I'm not sure what an academic hiring. For now, Busy Dad Training is the channel on YouTube. That's the best way to find me.
Busy Dad Training. All right, awesome, man. And can you so your study? How far into are you studying, or you're a professor? You teaching? What's the?
So the setup in most American graduate schools is you come over and you get this graduate level education with these eminent professors. That's what you do in return is you teach the undergraduates, and that's also how you earn your bread. So of my time, I'm doing my own PhD research the other half, and my wife does the same thing. So my wife is about 6 months off completion. I'll be graduating the program in the next 2 years.
Awesome, man. Yeah, awesome, both of you. And how long have you been over there? So when did you move to America?
So Claudie, my wife, moved in 2013, and I visited the department in 2015. She was my tour guide. We'd never met before, and I decided that I should move to San Diego, marry Claudie, and have children with her. And so that's what I did. I moved in 2015, and so I've been there for 7 years now.
Love it. Awesome. You had a smirk on your face, Lee.
It's just the way it was so quintessentially English, the way you went, I decided I was going to marry Claudia and have a child with her. Lucky Claudia.
So that's what I did.
That's what I did. I just swanned over to San Diego.
Awesome, man. Far out. I'm just trying to think. Have you got some other questions that you got right now, Lee? That you want to ask? Do
you know what? Like, I have actually. I just want to know who is catching the Busy Dad's eye on YouTube right now. What burpee practitioners are? Yeah, great question. Catching the eye of the Busy Dad.
Yeah, the far-seeing eye of the Busy Dad. Well, obviously, really, that's not just me being obsequious. I was so just knocked out, and Lee, like everything you do, but the 46 1 pumps was just admirable.
Insane.
I have a burpees bandit. He's been very supportive of my channel from the beginning. He's a very witty guy. He once hypothesized that I'm a wedding crasher. That's what I do by trade.
That'd be a great channel.
And he really impressed me with what he did through the October challenge, that he kind of set himself. He didn't miss a day, and then just randomly towards the end did 2,000 burpees in a day for no obvious. I've got a lot of respect for that. And he's also just on the brink of unlocking programs. I'm really honoured that he's been doing that. Triple B really blew me away during in July. I first saw him just putting it a day. That just absolutely stunned me. And he's still just on the consistency. I mean, and then there were the gods. There's like beginner, intermediate, advanced, and then god level. The day, so we've got to put Burpee Zikram up there. I mean,
that guy's insane, man.
Yeah, he is like I would love to get him on this show. I don't know how difficult it would be, but he is like I've never seen anything like that in my life. He's my favorite, but I think he's probably the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's the best I've ever seen. A close second is James Bruce. I mean, he's unbelievable.
Yeah,
like the form is just clinical, and just seeing him complete 500 reps at that pace. It even drew a comment from Iron Wolf. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And Irv Toning is his name, I believe.
Yeah, Tone Irv. Yeah, Tone.
So Tone Irv. So yeah, he seems like an amazing guy, and also just another one where I get a form tutorial every time I see him. Beautiful form, and it doesn't seem to even hurt him that much. He just passes through. So those three guys. Yeah. And I'm so grateful that, because I was, my ego was getting to me a little bit when I was 6 counts in 20 minutes. There was a brief period where that looked like not many people had done that on YouTube. And then these guys just, I think it's so difficult to just exploded in reminded that there was a game, and that you can always aspire to something better.
It's really inspired me.
They're the main ones. But I guess I always. Oh, and of course, Fitness Fossil, the man's a legend. I always look forward to his comments. I always look forward to hearing from Burpee's Bandit. And then I just look on in awe at the three Burpee's gods that I just mentioned.
That's awesome, man. That's such a great question, Lee. Yeah, thanks so much, Matt, for sharing those.
Anyone that you guys are following that I should know about?
Oh, do you know what? I'm trying to think. I'll let you go first, Joe, so I can think.
Yeah. Well, those people that you've just mentioned are pretty much the same. I don't think I've followed Burpee's Bandit as much as what I could have. I'm pretty sure I'm subscribed to Burpee's Bandit, but I don't think I've watched as much. Probably the main people that I will look at and watch are both yourselves on there. James Bruce, I've been really mesmerized recently with regards to the stuff that he's been putting out there. The Tone Irv, I think there's Tone Irv. His stuff's been great. I've really enjoyed seeing the journey of 10 Stretch as well. So he's the Hall of Gains or Hallway of Gains or something like that. But I've really enjoyed seeing his stuff. David Whitten, obviously, Lee and I spoke about him yesterday. He's only just started putting himself out there. David Whitten from Canada. So that's been great to see.
How do you spell this? Obviously. How do you spell the Whitten?
WHITTEN.
Got you.
David, is his first name. So obviously the Wolf man. I jump over and have a look at his stuff regularly, like your guys' stuff as well. And Burpee's King. I've been enjoying looking at those. And then I've got like the Derek Towers Fitness Throttle as well, Elaine Fedek, and there's this other lady, Martina Lavender or something like that. I can't remember the name, but these ladies, man, that are just fucking machines. Yeah, so there's actually a lot. What I find, and I resonated with Derek when he said this, I find it hard to sit and watch all of, I want to watch the whole session that they're doing, but it's sometimes a bit hard just because of the time, work, family, day job, all that sort of stuff. So I find myself having to skip watch, and then I'll go back and look at things. So I've got no question of anybody's integrity in terms of the reps that they're doing, because Lee's point, he mentioned there's probably that one guy that's sitting there counting every rep, and he's going to go, nah, actually, you only did 498. You didn't do 500. so those parts, I don't do it for that. I just do it in awe and really motivated and inspired by your guys' work. So really appreciate all the stuff that you guys are putting out. So that's me. Hopefully that's given you enough time to think, Mr. Hazard.
Yeah, it has actually. Finally, the
Good.
stress is gone. Sorry, there's a guy that's on my Instagram who I'm trying to get an Instagram live session with him. His name's Jaguar Fitness. He's a young guy from the west coast of America, California, San Diego. I don't know where specifically, man, but he's a beast. I actually looked through his YouTube. I just discovered his YouTube video channel the other day, and he did 1,000 Navy SEALs, which just blows my mind. I think it took him about 4 or 5 hours, but he's still done it, man. 1,000 Navy SEALs.
That's...
You would need shoulder surgery after that, I think. There's another guy, Greg Malden, and funny enough, we've actually arranged for Greg Malden to come on the podcast, which is
he's awesome.
Oh, he is an absolute machine.
And he's
an
also
absolute machine.
There's something really magic about his form. His 6 counts really, I don't know, there's a fluidity that deep expertise in the way he does his 6 counts. I've learned a lot.
Well, do you know what? He's an ex-NHL player, I think. So he's a professional athlete. So he's just got the genetics. Everything he does is just effortless. I think he's a guy. He'll put up these killer workouts that are massive, and then he'll do a 200 burpee warm down or cool down or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But he's a really nice guy. He's really humble as well, which I really admire. He doesn't come on with a lot of he's not a bragger or anything like that. He's a very straight up guy. He just comes on, just does the damage and leaves.
Yeah.
So they're definitely 2 guys that I'm definitely keeping an eye on. I've got my eye on another guy who doesn't really focus primarily on burpees, but he does strictly bodyweight training, and his name's Zero Gravity. He's also coming on as well, but what I like about him is it's his attitude towards fitness and gym culture. It kind of resonates really hard with me. He's Russian, so he's got that sort of Russian honesty about him, which I really, really admire. So they're probably the 3 right now that I'm sort of watching quite a lot of their stuff. And fortunately for the podcast, we're going to have 2 of them on quite soon. So
there's one other
absolutely.
thing I can mention. Just similar kind of, he's not primarily a burpee practitioner, but he has a real focus on functional fitness. And that is 50+ Warrior Fitness. Have you come across?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Old Jack.
Old Jack is absolute legend.
Yeah. He's awesome.
He's just been such a sweetheart supporting my channel from the very beginning. But it's pretty inspiring. This guy's 61, I think. Insanely jacked, insanely strong.
We're gonna get him.
Very humble. A very experienced combatives instructor. I don't know if you. He alternates.
I've seen his stuff. Yeah.
Terrifying. His demos of. I was showing my parents his demo of the chin jab, which is his videos always start the same. He's got his hands on the chest as if he's trying to diffuse the situation, and then suddenly you're dead. And he demos the. It's just so incongruous that he's such a sweet-natured, humble guy, but also a machine, and also just like a kind of testimony to what consistency is. He's been training for 10 years.
Absolutely.
He's gotten through leukemia. He is just unbelievable. And he's a real inspiration to me, kind of at a more personal level. But he's someone that definitely check out.
50+. What's his channel again?
50+ Warrior Fitness.
50+
really
Warrior Fitness. Yeah, Old Jack.
Strongly recommend him.
Definitely. We got to reach out to him. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that. That's awesome, guys. Listen, I have really loved this time together with yourself, Max, and as always with old Lee Hazard. Always makes me smile. But you guys, I don't have right now. I haven't got anything else to ask. I'm going to leave it to Lee to see if he's got any final comments or closing remarks, and then we'll probably once again just shout out the Busy Dad Training YouTube channel. We invite all of our listeners and those within this community, and maybe if you're not within this community, but you're interested to know more and you'd like to find out more information, or you'd like to connect with this group of people, and particularly with Busy Dad, with Max, we invite you to go to the Busy Dad training channel, jump on there. You'll be embraced and welcomed warmly, and there's a whole lot of burpee pain and fun along the way to have once you get there. So appreciate you guys' time. Lee, I'll let you wrap up any final words and stuff, and then for Max as well if he wants to say anything.
I've really enjoyed that, and it's been a pleasure to meet Max finally. I think that one of my very early videos, Max was one of the first ever guys to comment, which really struck a chord with me, and it was telling me that he would come up to Scotland and do a collab with me, and it kind of made me feel like a YouTuber at that point, you know. And I get that comment, I was like to my wife, this guy wants to come up to Scotland and do a collab with me. My wife's just looking at me like, what the fuck?
You can wear your kilts and your wee sporran and get up on the mountain.
But fortunately the stars aligned and I managed to get an hour or so in Max's presence. But no, I really enjoyed that. I mean, Max is quite clearly he's clued up with regards to the burpees. Very clued up, and may the Busy Dad system prosper.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. Really an honor to meet you both. You've both been very supportive, and I just love sharing a space with you. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Everybody, we hope you've enjoyed this Move, Sweat, Suffer podcast. Once again, we've had the Busy Dad on here, Max Edwards. Great privilege, sir, and honor to have you. Thank you for spending some time with us today.
Thank you so much.